Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Hello, I'm TheMoJoPrince, and this is Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by 19 Media Group. Now here's my dad, TheMoJoKing.
Mike Steph has family obligations due to the Christmas holidays and will not be here this week. Although his predictions, he did send them in, so I got them for you. All right, let's jump into it. First off, before we even get to the games, a couple of things I'd like to point out here. One, the NBA has to be pissed, don't they? The NFL went complete Ebenezer Scrooge and grabbed the money from the NBA, putting on NFL Wednesday football games. Besides the NBA being a little bit annoyed, I would think that these teams would be very annoyed. This is kind of ridiculous, playing ultimately 3 games in 11 days. I really wonder what will happen as far as the sloppiness of play potentially, and will we see a lot of bench players getting a lot of minutes? This is a unique situation. We haven't seen it before, and we may not see again anytime soon. All right, with that said, let's jump right into it. The 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs are heading to Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites. The projected total is 43.5 points. That means Vegas is telling us that the Chiefs will score 23.25, while the Steelers score 20.25. As far as injuries, the key injury to the Chiefs may be a player that just came back. Hollywood Brown came back last week after being out all season due to a shoulder injury. But on the downside, Kansas City has some offensive line issues. Left tackle DJ Humphries is out the 3rd straight week due to a hamstring. Meanwhile, right tackle Jawan Taylor is questionable with a knee injury. For Pittsburgh, they also have a possible returning wide receiver. George Pickens has been out with a knee injury, but he was a full participant in practice, so there's a good chance that he'll go this week. Meanwhile, cornerback Joey Porter, he's questionable for this week. I would assume it's not a long-term injury, but with this short turnover, maybe he will sit out. So these teams are oddly similar statistically. Defense, they are upper tier in total overall defense and rushing defenses, with a slight dip to their passing defense. So will either or both of these teams be able to exploit it? I'm going to look keenly on Pittsburgh with that one injury I talked about. If George Pickens is back, this team is completely different on offense. Without him, they look lost. Meanwhile, the Chiefs looked a little bit better last week with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown himself didn't put up big numbers, but is him being in the lineup enough to finally fix what's been missing with the Chiefs? I don't like the short week. It makes me question what's going to happen here. But I have to say, if Pickens is back, I have to like the over. And with just generally speaking, I am not betting against the Chiefs at all anymore until they prove that they shouldn't be bet against. The Steelers have lost 2 straight. I think they're going to lose another one. So I have the Chiefs -3 and the over 43.5 as long as Pickens plays. Mike Steph, on the other hand, likes the Steelers. He thinks it's going to be a close barn burner type of a game, with the Steelers maybe not winning, but staying close enough to get within those points.
I'm Desmond Powell, host and creator of Hip to the Games, and I am incredibly grateful to announce that the show has been nominated by podcast professionals from some of the biggest networks in the industry for the chance to be named Sports Podcast Group's Best Basketball Podcast. While Hip to the Games merges the love of basketball and hip-hop, it's an honor to know that one side of the spectrum has received this kind of love. And as a fan of the show, this is a very easy way for you to show your support for Hip to the Games. You can cast your vote by visiting sportspodcastgroup.com, navigating to their drop-down menu, and clicking the awards tab to view the 2025 shortlist. There, you'll see the Best Basketball Podcast icon, where you'll scroll down and find Hip to the Games, where you can hit the like button to officially lock in your vote. Regardless of the outcome, Hip to the Games will always be about celebrating the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present. So make sure to get your votes in before January 13th, as you remain such an important part of this podcast growth. I sincerely thank you for all your support.
All right, let's move over to the second game. The 10-5 Baltimore Ravens are heading Houston to face the 9-6 Texans. The Ravens are 5.5-point favorites. The projected total is 46.5 points. That means Vegas is telling us
the Ravens will score 26. The Texans will score 20.5. How can you score half a point?
as far as injuries, Baltimore has a few on key positions. Probably most importantly, Zay Flowers was a non-participant in practice due to a shoulder injury.
Nelson Aguilar
is in concussion protocol and unlikely to play, as is backup running back Justice Hill, both also in concussion protocol. Meanwhile, on their offensive line, their center and their right guard are also questionable. On Houston side, the biggest injury of last week, to be honest, was Tank Dell. Unfortunately, he went down with a torn ACL and a dislocated kneecap. I hope his career will be able to continue on a positive path. To fill this void,
they claimed Deontay Johnson off of waivers.
Of course, he played for Carolina and Pittsburgh before that. He was having a pretty decent season until he got to Baltimore. So he may be able to make a key impact considering that they don't have a number 2 behind Nico Collins with the injuries to Tank Dell and also Steph. On the defensive side, both of their defensive tackles are questionable. A lot of injuries going on here. Before I jump into my analysis, since I'm talking about injuries, I will jump into Mike Steff's pick. Mike Steph likes the Baltimore Ravens, even minus the 5.5.
Mike Steph thinks the Texans are a flawed, beat up, injured team who have nothing to play for this week. I feel bad for them.
Meanwhile, the Ravens are playing pretty strong, so that's the reason he's going with the Ravens, and he's also going with the over. Now, before I get into my betting selections, I have a little tidbit here that I find interesting. Maybe you will too. If Justice Hill is out, and this is a short week, Derrick Henry is probably not going to get the complete load of the offense. I'm really curious to see who the number 2 back is. They have rookie Rasheen Ali, who has been basically the third back, but they also have Keaton Mitchell, who they took off of IR, but has been inactive the last few weeks. If you remember how completely explosive he was last year, it might be interesting if they put him active and unleash him. Maybe they're just saving him for the playoffs. Maybe he's not really healthy. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to be looking at that because I'm a maniac. All right, the keys here as far as the matchup itself is Baltimore's number 1 ranked offense versus
Houston's number 6 ranked defense.
While on the other side, it's Houston's 18th ranked passing offense versus Baltimore's 31st ranked passing defense. All of this leans to a high scoring game. Again, a little worried about it being a Wednesday game, but this all leads to the over, and that's probably my strongest bet of the week. As far as the 5.5 points, this is such an important matchup for the Ravens as far as taking the AFC North. You have to assume they're coming to play. Plus, they've been on fire lately. Meanwhile, Houston, as I mentioned last week, has been on a little bit of the struggle bus. Just how these teams are playing, you have to figure that the Ravens will win by more than 5.5. So I'm with Mike Steph.
They both have the Ravens minus 5.5 and the over.
See, this is what Mike Steph's here for, so he could point out that I did not update the ticker. Anyway, happy holidays. Look at my Christmas tree over there.
The Christmas tree will be up until the fall because I like the tree.
Now, the thing is, I did forget the ticker, but what I did not forget is the duck. That's a Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Take care.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night! This is a 19 Media Group presentation. Now here's my dad, the Mojo King. Daddy forgot that. Yay! Daddy forgot that. How can you score half of a point? It doesn't go down more. Okay. Houston's number 6 ranked defense. Also, to end the podcast, I love trains. Okay, bye.
Good job. Thank you, son. It's over.